snack. Me and you gonna have a little chat about books. Hi guys! So today I'm going to be doing a book review, and the book that I'm going to be reviewing is The Night Circus, which is by Erin Morgenstern. So this story is one that I've had on my Kindle for absolutely ages. I have had it probably over a year or so, and I just haven't ever got round to reading it, but I decided the other day that whilst I was doing a lot of university work, which is why I haven't been putting out very many videos recently, that's all done now, so it should be much more regular now. Whilst I didn't have the time to be reading very much, I wanted to pick up a slower novel, one that wasn't high fantasy and wasn't really packed with all these wars and action. So I wanted to take a slower read and I wanted to enjoy myself a bit more. So I picked up The Night Circus because I know that it's fantasy, but it's not high fantasy, and it just sounded really magical and fun, and it was an adult book, which I don't always read, so I thought I would give it a go. So this is one of the first circus-based stories that I've ever read. I've never really read anything that involves a circus. If I have, I can't remember. So I was really looking forward to the book, and I'd heard a lot of really, really good things about it. Everyone who's read it loved it, so I was hoping it was going to be good, and it did not disappoint me. One of the things that I would say about this book is that it's definitely more focused on the description and the imagery than it is on the storyline. There is a storyline, but the description and the imagery is a lot more of the writing than the actual storyline is. It's very much a slow storyline told gradually, but I personally don't mind that, so if you don't mind that, then this is definitely one to pick up. So this is the story of a magical circus which appears overnight at random places around the world. It usually stays for a few days in these different places, and it will appear without warning, no one will be told, and it just suddenly is there, and people can go to it, but it only opens at night time. It is not open in the day, you cannot get into it, and it's beautiful. It's got all these lovely, great big circus tents that are striped in black and silver and white, and everyone who works there has their costumes in black and white, and it just sounds like this stunning, stunning place to go and visit, and I really, really wish that this place was real because it sounds so magical. I cannot even begin to describe how wonderful the writing was to really give me the images that the author was trying to portray, and I really loved it, so I can definitely imagine it vividly in my mind, which is a really, really good thing. There are hundreds of tents, and more tents are appearing all the time, so even if you have been there before, you're probably going to see something new if you go again. And you can go night after night and you can still not have seen everything. Everything is just changing all the time, and it's very magical and mystical and really, really fun and engrossing. The story focuses on quite a lot of different people, but the two main ones are Marco Alistair and Celia Bowen, who are the main characters. Each of them is not really what they appear to be at first sight, and the story is kind of all about how they give the circus its mystery and its magic, and they kind of transform it in ways that you can't even begin to imagine and understand. Along the way there are all sorts of other people who get involved in their big sort of competition, and it's just so magical. Like, all of the things that were being described and all of the magical elements that were described was so beautifully done, and I cannot rave more about the description. Like, usually descriptions kind of bore me after a little while, but these ones were just so vivid in my mind, and they just sounded so interesting and so different that I just really wanted to go and visit, and I would definitely recommend this book. There is a storyline that is happening as we follow all around the circus and we visit all of these different tents, but realistically the storyline is kind of designed to just show off as much of this magical circus and magical world as possible. So there are little interludes which are written into the story, which each tell you about one of the tents, and they were really nice. They were only a sort of page or so, but they would tell you kind of what it was like to walk into a tent and see all the mystery and magic around you, which was so cool to imagine. And along the way, all of these events happen, and eventually they build up to a rather strange and interesting ending, if a little bit ambiguous. That was the only thing I had a slight issue with, was the ending was quite ambiguous, but because it's so mysterious and quite magical, I didn't really have enough of an issue to kind of dock a star or anything like that. Realistically, there is so much that I could describe to you guys about how wonderfully well this is written and how beautiful and just how magical the whole thing sounds and seems whilst I was reading it, and I loved it. I absolutely adored the storyline, but I think you guys should definitely read it. I don't want to tell you too much about it because I think it's amazing and I loved it, and I wasn't expecting to love it as much as I did, because usually when I get to reading a book that's been really hyped up, I don't think it's quite as good as the hype, but this time I think it was better and I really enjoyed it and I would definitely recommend it. I really, really wish that the Night Circus was a real place. I would love to go and visit it. I think it sounds phenomenal. So, of course, if you haven't already guessed, I ended up giving this one a 5 out of 5 star rating. Usually, as I said, the description would have been too much, but because it was so magical and I could imagine it so vividly, it was just 5 stars, and the rather muted storyline didn't detract from the beauty of the writing and the story. So let me know if you have read this story. Definitely, I would love to hear you guys and what you think about it. If you have any questions, then leave them all down below for me and I will definitely chat to you guys in the comments. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all very soon in my next video. Bye! Me and you gonna have a little